Sho Namo Manju Shi Namo So Shi Namo Dhamma Shi So Jie Chunang Zo Ge Chunang La Janchu Mando Nani Gansu Jie Dagi Chenye Kibe Chunang Di Dola Benju Sangye Doba Sho Jie Chunang Zo Ge Chunang La Janchu Mando Nani Gansu Jie Dagi Chenye Kibe Chunang Di Dola Benju Sangye Doba Sho Jie Chunang Zo Ge Chunang La Janchu Mando Nani Gansu Jie Dagi Chenye Kibe Chunang Di Dola Benju Sangye Doba Sho Sa Xie Pege Shu Qin Me Do Zhang Re Li Xie Ni De Jian Ba Di San Ji Xin Do Me Ne Bu Wa Ye Zhuo Ge Dang Da Xin La Jue Ba Shuo Ye Da Gu Ru Ran Na Men Da La Gang Ni Ya Da Ya Bi Li Na Na Ge Che Di De Shu Da De Wa Ji Ne Dong Wa Ji Ne Xin Ge Ti Da Tang Ji Da Ge Cin De Ye Ma Na Chi Ge Ling Chen Bu Cha Da Yi Ma Ma Ji Ba Chi Cha Me Ma Shi Ba La Chang Ji Me Che Ba Ni Ge Je Man De Na De Wa De Ja Lang Do Ko Lo Ji Bo Ge Dong Yin Ba Xin Yong Wa Ne De Ga Ti Ji Ja Mu De Ge Je Man Dewa the day you give a piece of the dinner chamber. Demba Chichi Demba Davashan Titashin Lamala Shinjila so was to Mabachine Chamba.
Please adjust your sitting posture according to the 7 meditative postures of Arrow Channel. Think, all sentient beings have been my mothers. All sentient beings have been my mothers, not just once, but numberless times. All sentient beings are as kind as my mother in this life. Even though all kind mothers and sentient beings do not want even a small suffering, do not even want a small suffering, they want happiness and do not even want a small suffering. However, due to mistakenly engaging with objects of adoptions and abandonment, they do not experience any happiness but suffering. In our minds, sincerely generate loving kindness towards all kind mothers and sentient beings by thinking, how nice it would be if all kind mothers and sentient beings were to have excellent happiness and the causes of excellent happiness that are virtues. May they have excellent happiness and its causes. I'll cause them to have excellent happiness and its causes. Lama Deity, please bless me to be able to do so.
The day is the Dungajina is in Jetta Tang, she doing the Dungi Jomago, the China Juma, Treva Treva, the Vishawa, the Sheni Balamala, Shinjilo, so what does the Mabajin in Japan?
Next, we generate compassion towards all suffering mother sentient beings by thinking, how nice it would be if all mother sentient beings were free from all suffering and the causes of suffering that are non-virtues. May they be free from all suffering and its causes. I will free them from all suffering and the causes of suffering. Lama Deity, please bless me to be able to do so.
The day is the one that's needed a tongue, she called and so good don't want to do Kusala, Kongerana project, I didn't ever see Yantava, Sanji Kumban, did have any Basila, Yantava, Sanjila Yabi, Messenger, Tanji to Sanji Kumparum, which didn't get up a shower. What does it mean about Jenny Chanju say wines?
Next, we generate bodhicitta. First, we ask ourselves, who should take the responsibility to free all mother sentient beings from the sufferings of samsara and lower realms? I should take the responsibility to free all mother sentient beings from the sufferings of samsara and lower realms. Even though I should take the responsibility, I do not have the ability to place them in the state of perfect, complete enlightenment now. Who has such ability? Only the perfect, complete Buddha have the abilities to do so. Therefore, for the sake of all mother sentient beings, by all means, I will achieve the precious state of enlightenment.
That is the one that is from points. Document, that had a condo, Madu, to be
Next, we meditate on the meaning of emptiness for a short while. The self and the aggregates. The self and the aggregates neither exist as inherently one nor inherently different. Thus, is empty of inherent existence.
다 대지스 그나도 지 계속에 탄지되는 상지지 공부도 대체도 더 당비 취세는 나의 책임도 좀 예승전에 뱀도 상황에서 그래 주셨어.
Set a good motivation. For the sake of all mother sentient beings, I will achieve the state of enlightenment. For this, I will listen to the holy teaching and properly practice in order to benefit sentient beings. Getting up.
어디에라도 다 세송을 배웠대. 어제 세송을 배워봤대. 내가 너한테 지신이 딱 너한테 맞추면서 좋아. 세송을 배웠지. 그래서 당연히 내가 가도
Next outline is making effort in guarding the mind. So under this outline, there are two subdivisions. One is indication, another one is explanation. First, we will talk about indication.
어디 맞아와도 되게 다 비슷한데는 예송 레버송아자 세서 두슈마도 봐. 두슈마비 지시 샤세 쇼로가 디기마 어떤데 디기마 시에스.
Under this outline is verse 18. This being so, I shall hold and guard my mind well. Except for the modes of conduct of guarding the mind, what use are many other modes of conduct? I will briefly explain the meaning.
다디비 된다를 간다. 예법 봉원다 인디 주바데 다 간다 같이 생활을 하려고 그래서 다 세서 같이 생활을 하려고 그래서 예법은 다르게 타파도 탄지 좀 공부 해야 같이 진행이 예와 관리진의 차다면서 관리진의 뜻을 봐 봉원다. 유인데 타파 탄지 공부 해야 이 유인데 관리진한테 해야 돼. 이 생활을 하려고 그래서 생활을 하려고 그래서 다비 랑게 센드는 전바다 희긴지 내가 송으로 해서 제 희긴이 다 센서나 송으로 내가 손에 센데 뭐냐 봐 내가 송으로 해서 내 센소이 뜻이 맞아 봐 센소이 뜻이 가들어서 봐라 지시샤도 그거요 말해서 맞아 센소이 뜻이로 봐 주부를 해서 당아서 센소이 뜻이스나 맞아 배 세대 와 저거 상보다 봐 팀봐 와 저 세대 나다 신좀 문디쇼 小年把的把锻炼了，对手说，谁就没的就小年把了手把的锻炼，小让不了手把是对手是，我的了手过来也是，他看的，我的了把手呢，对面我接过来也是，谁说我接过来也是。
So the abandoning of misdeeds and accomplishings of excellent qualities are contingent upon the mind. So in order to guard one's mind, so it depends on one's mind. So the abandoning of misdeeds and also afflictions, so afflictions such as attachment, hatred, and so forth, and accomplishing of excellent qualities. So all these are contingent upon one's mind. So this being so, I shall hold my mind well with mindfulness and introspection and guard it without degeneration. So how do you guard your mind? You should guard your mind with mindfulness and introspection. So except for the modes of conduct of guarding the mind. So modes of conduct of guarding the mind. So mode of conduct in Tibetan is called dusho. So if you were to, in English translation is mode of conduct. So if you were to break it word by word, then du is has a meaning of tame, and then shu has a meaning of enter. So du means do or to tame means that to tame your mind without engaging, or to tame your to tame the bad behaviors. Yeah, to tame your bad behaviors, and then to enter into the good behavior. So this is how you this is the mode of conduct of guarding the mind. So tame bad behavior, enter the good behavior.
到底就是我们现实上到这里面是机器人的，到机器当不现实机器的了，嘛修的到他们那个看到这里，我嘛的现实的我这里有些不机器的了，我嘛了的，到事情马上注意确认了，这点嘛也发现是，就我们这那边讲，甚至嘛大多数我是在学了个进度啊，到这个嘛真的就是没学意思。
Next outline is extensive explanation. So under this outline is verse 19. It says, just as I would be attentive and conscientious of a wound when amidst an unruly freed crowd, so I should always guard the wounds of my mind when dwelling among negative people. So just as people who have wounds on their bodies will be attentive and conscientious of their wounds when amidst an excited crowd that is not bound by conscientiousness, but is unruly as though they were freed in the place of unconscientiousness. So in the place of conscientiousness due to people such as so as though they were freed in the place of conscientiousness. So when we talk about these unruly people and unruly people, free crowd, and so forth, so it means that those people whose minds are not subdued and they are unconscientious and they do not restrain themselves from engaging in the bad activities of body and speech, and they are stay amidst an excited crowd means that they stay amidst an excited crowd of attachment, hatred, and ignorance. And then, so when dwelling, so then due to dwelling among negative people like this, then who act as the conditions for generating afflictions, I must always guard the wounds of my mind. So the wounds of my mind also means that I should guard my mind from falling under the control of the three poison, attachment, hatred, and anger. And this is because if I do not guard them, then those conditions will sever the life of high status and liberation. Next outline is the reason that it is necessary to guard the mind. And under this outline is verse 20. It says, if I am conscientious of a wound through fear of the small suffering of a wound, then why do I not guard the wounds of a mind through fear of being crushed by the mountains of mass destruction?
내 생지마다 송부다 그래서 다 뭐도 생지마 송하데 다 등이 디파다 동화다 다 랑지 칸나마도 지비 칸나마 도와줘다 다 리와도 만로지 스스로 라바다 만가와지 다 라바 마보요와 상세히 라바 상하지 라바 스스로리 그래서다 이들이 마보이죠 다 저단 가와이나 다 생지마데 간다 마수마도와 수마도我到底说你个玩意呢？对我说你们的没鸟了，都接了哇！到底生活的为什么说？等我求求几个别鸟了，别说说结果呢？他等我全部热了没把鸟的马鸟去的，对说说结果的不是他真的对了哇！
So he says, the meaning of this verse is, if I should be conscientious of a wound through fear of a small suffering, a bodily wound, then why do I not guard the wounds of my mind, such as negativities and downfalls? So when we talk about a bodily wound that is a small suffering, and such suffering is small and it is only temporary, it doesn't last a long, like lifetime after lifetime. So and such a small bodily wound, then we are conscientious, then why do I not guard the wounds of my mind, such as negativities and downfalls, through fear of the suffering of being crushed by the mountains of mass destruction, hell, and so forth, if my mind degenerates? So if I do not guard the wounds of my mind against negativities and downfalls, so negativities such as those negative actions such as those natural misdeeds and stipulated misdeeds. So stipulated misdeeds, another translation for this is prescribed misdeed or wrong by prohibition. So such as those negativities and downfalls. So downfalls in relation to individual liberation vows, downfall in relation to Bodhisattva vows, and so forth. So if I do not guard my mind against these negativities and downfalls, through fear of the sufferings of being crushed by the mountains. So if I do not guard my mind, and if I let my mind engage in those negativities and downfalls, then I will definitely experience the disadvantage or the negative result of these negativities and downfalls, such as experience the sufferings of being crushed by the mountains of mass destruction, or experience the suffering in cold hell, experience the suffering in hot hell, and so forth. If I let my mind degenerate, or if I do not guard my mind against these negativities and downfalls. So such a wound, I have to be conscientious. Then why do I not be conscientious with the wounds of my mind?
到底我那个是谁说没骗你的是吧？到底我那谁说没骗是吧？谁说没骗晓得对的？那就本地的那些呢，就我们的确有上，你确认那家人，都在边把娘们就是，那得学了个记录，这个嘛，这个比较起来是吧
？Next outline is benefits of guarding the mind. Under this outline is verse 21. Should I behave in such a way, then whether among negative people or even in the midst of women, that steady effort of restraint will not decline.
他这个讲到的就是讲到，我就谁说没骗是吧？他谁的说的我是这些定了个，这些定的，这些定的，这谁你们比嘛的嘞，是不吧？这些定的谁，你们往的嘛着，在这个谁说的，你们比往的嘛着，谁就说过的，第说定的，你们往的谁说定的，是吧？你们为个谁，第就定的个谁说的这些定不年白呢？这年白呢，他现当就是9年吧，是吧？ 기타 지지 지원님과 무리반 항소 여사 등기기 마보 트나 니디가 난다 그러와 등기기나 맞아 시다 맞지야 지다 아 대마세 시다 맞지야 지다 대마세 가서 이제 차제사고요 또 보다 미니가 잡다 돼 여자 지유지요 또 보다 보면 이제 도 돼 봐. 그러와 예 하장 제도 돼 봐. 근데 마보 트나 니자로 더 간다 노롱지 소소뼈 하장 잡아지서 노롱지 비슷소 간리지나 들이라때 같이 잡아주세요. 여봐이나요? 니나이나 빅지라 데려요나. 랑지지페 랑지지 라바 동바 송하라. 그바 쪼아다 전주 첨보지. 전주 첨보지 되니 센스하게 전주 첨보지. 여봐이나 대신에 땜바. 와요봐. 와요봐 땜보지 니와 송상. 되니 전주 첨보다 쪼아 와요 신지 되니 땜자리 대신에 땜보 얘기. 네 녀고 말이 센데 다 녀고 말이스. 좋아. 내 녀고 말이 다 차단 방송도 누구 말이 생긴 녀고 말이에요. 다들 다 근데 춘거서 니로 学堂去就我明白个车辆中的理论的这玩意呢，我是新的，这些不定的呢，查到系统嘛，档案系统嘛这是。那点嘛这个说，那些就是个有，到不得面这路点嘛的被老龙介绍说，还这个以往中的历史是吧？的这个车辆年的呢，那点了被我说这些点的，然后老板了被送到也不交的，你查生活的多多也是，谁的点嘛，这个也是，我在这里听得见。
So the meaning of this verse is, should I continuously dwell in such conduct that prevents afflictions, and whether among negative, angry people, or even in the midst of lustful women, the steady mind of restraint striving in the individual liberation, Bodhisattva and tantric vows will not decline. So he says, should I continuously dwell in such conduct that prevents afflictions, then whether among negative, angry people. So if I need to stay among angry people, or even if I need to stay in the midst of lustful women and men, then those who are who are beautiful and etc. So then together with in the midst of objects of attachment, those wealth, resources, possessions, and so forth. So if I guard my mind well, with mindfulness and introspection without coming under the control of afflictions, then even if I have to stay among these objects of attachment and objects of anger, then and so when my mind is guarded with mindfulness and introspection, together with the joyous effort in guarding the training and the vows of the path, then my mind will not fall under the control of afflictions. So my mind will not fall under the control of afflictions, thus my mind will not degenerate.
我的是说，到底个阶段我是对的，到谁送不了，真不能让我去吧？谁送不了，我就真不能让我。到底你到谷底当，你的错，买了有我信仰弄了，让来一些，谁能那样，让没下次，修了个记录啊，我到底嘛，跟着的学意思。
Next outline is making effort in mindfulness for guarding the mind. Under this outline is verse 22. It says, it is better to be without gain, honor, body, and sustenance, and it is better to let other virtues degenerate rather than ever to let the mind degenerate.
他这个对的条路的，他大概谁的给了说这个大概年把他，他查了说吧，或者是当我是吧，他别让给老妈的老妈了说吧，老妈了说是了，有些皮了他或者那里当我的吧，当我会的当，当然个里头少年的，都接触了是没讲来，但谁说他这这玩意呢？他给我一样，娘把来，这这把钱的生意对那样娘把，是吧？没想过是，他的生活也是我说。
So the meaning of these verses is better to be without gain, such as food and clothes, honor, such as being prostrated to, like for example, the honor or the respect between the Lama and the students, and the sustenance, such as food that serves as a condition for my life and body remaining, and it is better to let other virtues separated from guarding the mind degenerate, rather than to ever let the Mahayana mind degenerate.
到底我了我是对的，到谁送的，整个吸引，我谁送他的，整个的吸引了送完了，是吧？整个的吸引送完了，当多这个就吸引小的，但当不我的多这个么学是吧？整个所以话，谁所以他整个吸引送完了，你是吧？他整个
简是送完了，
整些送完了，
多点是吧？
当多这就吸引小是吧？那当不多这个了，谁送的把那了，你整个当吸引他，当前没比送去去，当你的到他们就是。
So next outline is brief indication. So brief indications for guarding the mindfulness and introspection. So under this outline is verse 23. It says, to you who wish to guard your minds, I thus fold my hands and urge you, at the course of your life, guard mindfulness and introspection.
全世界的话，他谁说了？这些说是吧？谁说他的了？整把西经这个， 다 진실의 전화 당아지 세송이 말이스 당원이 저와 와서 배 신이라고 지고 그러나 다 신이 보라는 것은 진실이란 말이 막 신이 뭐 비하고요. 자, 신이 저와는 비하요. 다 진실 말이 그 신이라 세게 땡고 되고 말와 다 진실의 전화 다 세송이 와 세송이 그 세송 잡아나지 다 기미 바나 마지비 와 세 기미 바나 지키도 내서요 이바도 마지바 다 전반 가서 와 전비 가서 준비 다성을 세대 tempo 다성 거와 세대 간다 주원도 마치 그 tempo 다 와 전반의 고수지 내가서 집에 뜻이니까 소라 보자 됐어요 뭐냐送됐어 됐어요 뭐냐送过的学了就是좀学了단 다 타모전에 됐어 완전 됐어 와 완전 됐어 다들 세상에 개념이 되죠 대시기 때문에 다들 做 세상에 다 대시기는 뭐 때문에
So this brief indication shows that in order to guard one's mind, so one must have a mindfulness. One must rely on mindfulness and introspection. So this verse, So the meaning of this verse is if you are separated from mindfulness and introspection. So even if you want to cultivate calm abiding, so you need to rely on mindfulness and introspection. So without relying on mindfulness and introspection, there is no way for one to cultivate calm abiding. So similarly, if you want to guard your mind, you also need to rely on mindfulness and introspection. So if you are separated from these two, then you will not be able to guard your mind. Therefore, to you who wish to guard your minds without letting them come under the influence of afflictions, I, Shantideva, thus fold my hands and urge you, at the course of your life, guard without degeneration the mindfulness that does not forget the virtuous objects of mindfulness, virtuous objects of observation. So when we talk about the mindfulness, then the mindfulness is, it doesn't forget. Mindfulness doesn't forget the virtuous objects of observation, right? So you can say that the mind has a mindfulness ties the mind to the objects of observation, and introspection that realizes whether the states of the three laws are virtue or non-virtue.
지야게 단예바 담보 제시되는 샤와 가르는 주변에 대충하세 단 니치 두비 메다는 레는 끊는 틈에가 대시모비 세두가 레는 끊는 틈에 도세 그다지 쇼로가 진도와 더 쇼로가 지되면서데 담보 대시시면은 예방하는 예방 담보도 예방 담보도 마셔요 대시다 타나 단예바 담보 가는 그래서 사지 나야 와 예방아
예방아 되게 사지
예방아 된다 사지로 된다 도도 예방하시고 시기 맞으면 예방하는 거 또 사지 시고와
Yep. So next outline is the faults of lacking introspection. So under this outline is verse 24. It says, people who are disturbed by sickness lack strength in all actions. Likewise, the minds disturbed by confusion lack strength in all actions.
다들 내가 시기되잖아. 다 내가 담보 시기되면 샤와 간디질은 주고이나 제발이나 딱 간다 니바다 중요하다. 또 간다. 비다고 자고 말했어 그러와. 다 무차고는 가서 빼셔야 돼. 내지주의 밑에다. 답에 미 나사가 하장 그 수고 되고 내죠. 수고 되고 내죠. 다 내가지 쉬우지나 땅 가서 내가 이나 땅 가서 리지 중앙 시간에 맞게 냥봐. 답에 간다 세주라고 전에 리기가 두고 말와. 리지니가 두고 말아 리지 긴가라서 봐. 내가 가리지 내고나 내가 들어봐. 안다 тө치만 이거 좀 그래서. 그 대나시 맞아 시기에 봐이나 랑도 앞에 스스로 가리지 배주 봐이나 이 몽몽하게 이 세트도 비리래나 그냥 돼야 말이야. 시기에 봐이나 맞아 스스로 공지 제봐이나 공지는 이거 되고 말이스. 요 되고 말이 가다 전주 세고에나 동반이 공바이나 게이랑도 가리지 앞에 주고나 다 시기에 내봐이나 대 몸이 와다 망보지 좋아야 마도 대변이가 되고 말이스. 데려와 어디에다 니가 좀 그래서 간다. 니가 마티야 특충으로 해서 니가 담보 들어와. 시기다 잡아이나 샤와 간디지나 되라. 니가 되고 말이 니가 때문에 되다가 ምን 니가를 빼셔서 니나서 제대 간다 신가로서 받아기 내가 간디지나 거 니도 막 강에 열어와. 강이 신 니바는 당마로와 니바는 당마리서 간다 와 이들이
So there are five disadvantages or drawbacks of lacking introspection. The first one is verse 24. So the meaning of this verse is people who are disturbed by sickness lack strength in all actions, such as farming. So people who are disturbed by sickness, for example, due to degenerations of the four elements, they will lack strength in all actions. So even if they want to do farming and other works, then they will not be able, they will lack ability to do so. Then likewise, the minds that lack introspection and are disturbed by confusion with respect to what is to be adopted and what is to be discarded, lack strength in all virtuous actions as well. So if one lacks introspection and have the confusion and also influenced by confusion with regard to objects of adoptions and abandonment, so their mind is disturbed in this way, then they will lack strength in doing virtuous actions, even if they want to engage in adoptions and abandonment with regard to meditations, cultivating bodhicitta, or meditating on emptiness and so forth. They will not be able to do so, or they will do not have the ability to do so. So the first disadvantage of drawback of lacking introspections is one will not be able to so any actions that you do will be of little power.
다디 원어들다 당한서 제시 매바이나 다 니바니바 제시 매나 다 헤로난다 주고 말이에스 제시 매바이나 누가 다 제시 매바이나 다 제시 매바이나 간다 자나 네 헤로난다 주고 말이에스 와 헤로난다 문제 다 시기 매나 다 니바 들어가 가서 와 제시다 자나 다 니바데 시기 매비 세데비 튀어다 성바 공바야 노도 우미 추진도 젬바라네 젬미스
So next outline or this the disadvantage of lacking introspections and mindfulness is wisdom will not be pure. So under this outline is verse 25. It says, "Whatever has been heard, contemplated, and meditated by those whose minds lack introspection, just like water in a leaking vase, will not remain in mindfulness."
다디 되는데 다 시기의 자와이나 당아서 시로 피서 저번 주고 말이에서 간이 주고 맞으면 시기 매비 다 세다 되비 냐네 제게 강자 간디지나로 에 도망 가서 퇴비 시로 와 대상 보수 집에 퇴비 시로 예전 상지지 소로 다 기신이라 간다 담보 퇴바시비 퇴바지네 퇴비 시로지 퇴비 시로 대지 상바지네 상비 시로 지금은 쥐어봐 대인다 많이 샤와 인다 많이 봐 레다 말레다 여다 내라서 받더니 쥐어바지 상주 시로 들어와 쥐어바지 상주 시로 들어와 쥐어바지 상주 시로다 시로 쥐어바지 시로 될라더니 쥐어바지 바나시 되더라 고기 시로 와 고기 시로 어디더니 고기 시로 무슨 여바서도 앞에 아주 대신에는 많이 하고 그래서 다 냥도에 비에 가시나 추도 로드 봄비 간에 봄바 샤도 와서 봄바게 이나다 추니로서 추이나 추로서 니나다 간이나 티라 가다 예고 된저지 담보 추도 말이지 추도 담보 간이나 라 다 예고 지여서도 추도 간에마 내봐 차는 거 똥바 차는 거 했어 와 나는 그래 다 내가 나시 봄바 샤도와 나시로 시기데 맞아 대히데 다 잡아이나 내가서 대상고지 싫어서 막 집에서 처음만 하는 거랬어 너 대상고지 싫어 처음만 하는 거랬어 이 냐노가 옆에서만 하는 거랬어 제가 냐노 거랬어 너 이게
The meaning of this verse is if introspection is missing, wisdom will not become excellent, because for those whose minds lack introspection, even though they once had the wisdoms of hearing, contemplation, and meditation, they will degenerate, just like, for example, water in a leaking vase drips away without remaining. Yeah, so So even though they once had the wisdoms of hearing, contemplation, and meditation, so wisdom of hearing by relying on a spiritual friend, then you listen to the teaching, and then you develop the wisdom of hearing, then the wisdom of contemplation, then you think about, you investigate the meaning of the words, such as you distinguish the good one from the bad one, then you think about whether these words, the meaning of these words, and also you think about the meaning of these words, then you distinguish the what is from what is not, and so forth. Then you develop the wisdom of contemplation, investigating the meaning of the words, and then you eventually develop the wisdom of meditation. So all these will degenerate if you lack introspections and mindfulness. Then it gives an example. It's like a water with a leaky bottom. So even though you fill the vase or any container with water, you fill with water, and if it is a leaky vase, then eventually all these will drip away without remaining. So similarly, the wisdom of hearing, contemplation, and meditation will degenerate if one lacks introspection and mindfulness. Next outline is morality will not be pure. Morality will not be pure. Under this outline is verse 26. It says, even those who have plenty of hearing, faith, and diligent endeavor will become sullied by a downfall due to the fault of lacking introspection. So this is the third disadvantage. So the meaning of this verse is not only that, even those who have plenty of hearing, faith in the Dharma, and diligent endeavor in virtuous application, so even those who have plenty of hearing, so will listen extensively to the discourses of Buddha, and have faith in the Dharma, three jewels, cause and effect, and diligent endeavor in virtuous application, means that those who are diligently engaged in those virtuous actions, such as the three trainings, then such a person who engage in virtuous activities, so will become solid by downfalls due to the fault of lacking introspection with respect to the objects that are to be adopted and discarded. So if such a person who are so diligent in virtuous application will become solid by downfalls and negativities, faults, and so forth. So downfalls, negativities, such as those natural and stipulated misdeeds, then due to the fault of lacking introspections, it will be solid or polluted by these downfalls because of lacking introspection. So we need such an introspection that investigates or that examines whether there is a discordant class or not, whether is there a rising of discordant class or not. So we need introspection that investigates that. So if you lack introspection, then one's virtuous application or hearing and so forth will be contaminated or polluted by these downfalls, faults, and so forth. And then it's just like a pure water is solid by dirt and so forth. So similarly, one's virtuous practice will be solid by afflictions and downfalls as well. So if you want to keep a pure morality, so for pure morality, one must rely on introspection. So next outline is, if lack introspection, previously accumulated virtues will be destroyed. Under this outline, so this is the fourth disadvantage. Under this outline is verse 27. It says, the thieves of non-introspection, in following upon the degenerations of mindfulness, will steal even the merits I have firmly gathered, so that I shall then proceed to lower realms. So the meaning of this verse is those who are without introspection. So because thieves who are the inflictions in whose lack introspection. So in following upon the degenerations of mindfulness that forgets the virtuous objects of observation. So if those who lack introspection, then those who lack introspection, followed by the degenerations of mindfulness that forgets the virtuous objects of observation. So the thieves of afflictions will steal even the wealth of merit I have firmly gathered previously, so that as though traveling in poverty, I shall then proceed to lower realms due to being deprived of virtues. So I shall then proceed to lower realms refers to those who lack introspections and mindfulness. Then the thieves of afflictions, they will steal away the wealth of merit that I have firmly gathered. Then I will, then I will become poor. So poor means that as I become poor, I will be deprived of wealth of merit. Then, and due to lack of mindfulness, due to lacking of mindfulness and introspection, then I will fall under the control of afflictions, and due to falling under the control of afflictions, then I will go to lower realms, or I will proceed to lower realms. So these thieves and robbers of afflictions, so if I were to fall under their control, then the destination they will lead us to will be lower realms. So next outline is obstructing the next outline is obstructing the accomplishments of virtues not previously created. I repeat, obstructing the accomplishments of virtues not previously created. Under this outline is verse 28. It says, "These hosts of thieves of the afflictions will search for a good opportunity and occasion. Having found it, they will steal my virtue and destroy even life in a good migration." Can we change it? So the meaning of this verse is, if I do not guard introspection, these hosts of thieves, robbers of afflictions, they will search for a good occasion or time, wondering, can I find the opportunity to steal the wealth of virtue? And having found it, they will steal my virtue and destroy even its result. So these thieves and robbers of afflictions, they will search for a good time. So to harm you, just like worldly enemies. So when they want to harm other people, they will look for the opportunity, a good opportunity or good timing in order to bring harm to the enemy or opponent. So similarly, these hosts of thieves and robbers of afflictions, that they will also search for a good, look for a good timing, and then to harm us. And then once they found the opportunity, then they will steal our virtues, the wealth of virtues, and destroy even its results. So as we all know, the results of virtues is such as reborn in good realms, liberation, and so forth. So if our virtue is stolen, and then our result will be destroyed. So the life in a good migration and liberation will be destroyed. So therefore, contemplating these drawbacks, so the faults, the disadvantages of lacking introspection, then I should make effort in guarding the mindfulness and introspections. Next outline is guarding mindfulness as the method for guarding introspection. Another this outline, there are two divisions. The first one is indication or brief indication, and the second one is explanation or extensive explanation. So the first division is brief indication. Under this outline is verse 29. It says, "Therefore, I shall never let mindfulness depart from the doorway of my mind. If it goes, I shall recall the harms of the lower realms and closely place it there." So in many of these verses, without introspection, there will be many misdeeds. Therefore, for the sake of guarding introspection, I shall admit into the house of my mind the mindfulness that doesn't forget the virtuous objects of observation. So admit into the house of my mind. Admit into the house of my mind means that I do not let my mind. I do not let my mind. Yeah. So Yeah. So I admit into the house of my mind means that I should bring my mind inward or withdraw my mind inward. So that is the meaning of admit into the house of my mind. So withdraw my mind inward instead of letting it instead of going out of my mind or going out of the house of my mind. So basically it means to withdraw the mind inward, not outward, or not letting it go outward. So I should admit into the house of my mind the mindfulness that doesn't forget the virtuous objects of observation. Means that we need this mindfulness that doesn't forget the virtuous objects of observation. It ties our mind to a great pillar. So and then I never let it depart from the doorway of my mind. So it means that we should admit into the house of my mind the mindfulness and shouldn't let it depart from my mind. So and if mindfulness degenerates, if mindfulness degenerates, that is, if it goes away. So if if mindfulness degenerates, that is, if it goes away, means that our minds become relaxed. Then I should recall the harms of the low realms and immediately closely place it in the house of my mind. So even if you want to do meditations, then we need to have mindfulness. Without mindfulness, then many faults such as laxity and excitement will arise. So we need a good quality mindfulness. So good quality means that it's stable. So if our mind becomes lax or too relaxed, then this mind will go outward. It will goes away. So it will goes away. It means that the mind is not withdrawn inward with this mindfulness. So we need to have this mindfulness that ties the mind to the great pillar. Yeah, Timber. Yeah, and so in case if mindfulness degenerates and our mind goes away, or our mind becomes lax, then we should recall the harms of low realms and immediately place it in the house of my mind. Means that we should think about the faults of degenerations of mindfulness and then think about the harms it will bring us, such as being reborn in lower realms and so forth. And having contemplated the faults of degenerations of mindfulness, then we should quickly bring the mindfulness back, and then to quickly bring the mindfulness back and quickly stabilize the mindfulness. So without mindfulness, there will be no way to cultivate introspections. So therefore, in order to guard introspection, one must have mindfulness. Next outline is extensive explanation. Under this outline, there is other divisions. The first one is relying on the external condition, spiritual friend. And under this outline is verse 30. It says, through the company of gurus, through the subsequent teachings of abbots and through fear, mindfulness will easily be generated in fortunate people who act respectfully.
그 라운드 얘기를 봐. 그 전부 제우리 그 전부의 휴침보 전부의 미바 침보 휴침보 내우디 그런 거 최상 보도 자와 가르는 주바이나 받을 봐. 그래서 대본이 봐. 그 영내들 미바 침보에 대한 거지. 그래서 어디에서 도도 마시 좀 되셔.
So the meaning of this verse is the method for guarding mindfulness is through the company of abbots, masters. So through the company of abbots and masters, and through the instructions and subsequent teaching that are taught by the abbots, and then through so through associating with through relying on abbots, masters, and so forth, and repeatedly listen to the instructions given by masters, lamas, abbots, and so forth, then stabilize our mindfulness on the virtuous object and our own practice, and then through doing by doing so, so our practice and our virtuous actions will become powerful. Next outline is proper mental attention, the internal condition. Proper mental attention, the internal condition. Under this outline is verse 31 and 32, first two lines of 32. It says, I am always dwelling in the presence of all those Buddhas and Bodhisattvas who are endowed with unimpeded visions in all. By thinking in this way, I shall likewise obtain possessions of shame, respect, and fear.
dāna tāpa nēsū hī tētā sāni, tē rāng jīnsē tē shīne, tē kāndā māsā xie bāchī, wā, dīpa tā tōngā lān zēmē māsā xie bāchī, tērē māsā xie bāchī, dīpa tā tōngā lān zēmē māsā xie bāchī, dīpa tā tōngā chōmbā inā tā tē yāpū māsā xie bāchī, wā, dīpa tōngā lān māsā xie bāchī, tā tēmbā tā chūla kāndā kūpā, tēmbā tā chūla kūpā chī, tē nāmi ngē bāchī lā, njī bāchī wā, ngē rō lā sā bā, tē rī lā mā chī, 제스나 단지바지와 그데베 대지 그 된디기 세데 상호판에 그 덴바다 덴바 제브레스 된디기 상호판에 덴바다 세데 된디기 녀가 제브레스 와 지바다 덴비 된디기 베 세데 베 소소라 덴보 이네네 그 간다 덴바 덴바 제브레스 다 저와 뭐에 발라서 디둥한 지금 사실 봐서 저 여부로 왔지 저 모르지 wallo
So the meaning of this verse and the first two lines of 32 is thinking in this way, I'm always dwelling without obstruction in the presence of all those Buddhas and Bodhisattvas who are endowed with unimpeded vision regarding all objects of knowledge in all places at all times. So we should think that I'm staying in front of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas who see without any obstructions, who sees all objects of knowledge without obstructions, and who knows as it is, who knows the modes and who knows as it is, and who see without obstructions, see all objects of knowledge without obstructions, then I shall likewise obtain possessions of the shame that takes oneself as the reason. So the shame that takes oneself as the reason means that have this shame. So generate shamefulness on account of oneself. So meaning shamefulness due to the arising of negativities, downfalls, engaging in activities as that is not worthy or improper actions and so forth. So through the shamefulness that takes oneself as the reason, and respect for the teacher and the Dharma, and fear of the fruitions in unfortunate rebirths, and through these, then yeah. So then I should, still thinking about this, then I should cultivate mindfulness in order to stabilize my mind, to cause my mind to be stable. Yeah, so I should be more mindful in order to cause my mind to abide steadily. The last part of the explanation. So next outline is the modes of cultivating mindfulness. Under this outline is last two lines of verse 32. It says, also through doing this, recollections of the Buddha will repeatedly occur. So the meaning of these two lines is, through contemplating like this, recollections of the excellent qualities of the Buddha, as well as Dharma and the Sangha, will repeatedly occur in that person, whereby mindfulness of the three jewels will easily be generated. So means that through contemplating and recollecting the excellent qualities and kindness of the three jewels, Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha jewel, then mindfulness of the three jewels will easily be generated. Next outline is modes of cultivating introspection through that. And under this outline is verse 33. It says, when mindfulness abides for the purpose of guarding against afflictions from the doorway of the mind, the introspection will come about, and even that which had gone will return.
그 대왕의 랑 미나데 간다 temple do mundo healing the jibajem healing the wa say the nipati la tega demundo jebi tada sumba do mundo the jibache the jibache ne the mundi ne yani say the nipati la nemudi the nyani la keba shabre yes wa nyani la kebache maso nyani la makiba jemba digi sone yani ya jemba de say the tada ne tu mundo say the nipati la nimbe tada nje tu mundo the yani healing the jibache ngi meba ina 네, 희귀 뒤져봐 증거지 뭐가 있는 배년에들이 두 비다고 이렇게 말해서 근데 temba데 양내한테 세대 미발아 송우디 그 희귀디 양내한테 민도 문제 제바 제시가다 배년에 제우디 제 양내도 비다고 잡으래서 뭐 비다고 잡을 개바 잡으래서 그 temba데 희귀 종서가 그 간다 개바 잡으래서 세대로와 세대 미발아 니만에도 temba데 희귀라 라는데로와 세대 미발아 니만에 미발아 니만에 temba데 희귀라 라는데 다 제바디 세대 미발아 다네 그 대그로파 로빠도 가르고 있어 다 희기를 보고 다 희기디 참가나 주의 운동을 가서 희기도 소바 나지겠어 너가 소바 나지겠어 주의 무디쇼 운동을 제바 지기 어떤 무디쇼도 니로 제거나 전바되게 가다 뜻된 거지는 소리를 가다와 세대라 무디쇼 운동도 제거도나 뜻된 바되게 로마지 지어야 돼 어떤 냐는 개바지 정말이나 아야고 잡을 해서 그라 정말 희 조선 개바식 잡을 해서 냐니라 케메께서 와서 전바의 희귀 종사를 하는데 해서 그래 된다들 냐니라 케바지는 전바의 희귀 종사의 야부지 정말이나 냐니라 케바 잡으래 냐니라 케바 잡아이나 나 개와 군에 군단 배워다 나랑 그 문제죠 예 세나서 양 편에 그간다 레 두어 그가 많이 하는 거 해서 데려와.
So the meaning of this verse is, and due to that mindfulness, while mindfulness abides for the purpose of guarding against afflictions from the doorway of the mind, then introspection that examines the proper and improper states and exactly knows that will come about, and even that which had once degenerated and is gone will return. So the meaning is, so we need mindfulness. We need mindfulness that ties our mind to the object aspect, and whatever activities that we engage, then we need mindfulness as well. So, and through mindfulness, our mind is tied to the virtuous objects of observations, and together with that, we also need introspection. So introspection is like you can say it's like an assistance or it's a company of the mindfulness. So we need this introspection that goes together with mindfulness. So what does this introspection does is it investigates whether the mind abides on the virtuous objects of observations or not, and whether the states of the mind is proper or improper or not. So these introspections or vigilance is like a watcher, it's like a watchman. So he checks or investigates, and so we need this. We need a stable mindfulness together with introspections that checked whether the mind abides on the virtuous object on the objects of observations or not. So 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 then whether or not I'm skilled in accomplishment and practice is contingent upon how I protect mindfulness and introspection. So whether our practice become a good quality one or not, and whether one is skilled in accomplishment and practice or not, it depends on how I protect or sustain my mindfulness and introspection.
제부도나 데 게임을 가르쳐는 누구는 들 좀 해서 봐. 와 이거니 이제 좀 해서 뭐는 담보 미지 셔는 그런 따바들라 리히 담보 들리시 인데 준지 시시네 개체 다디 힘도 소두발에 내가 차세 오다디 저노가 진도와 어디로 더 쉬어있어.
Next outline is examining the behavior of the body and speech. Examining the behavior of the body and speech. So under this outline is there are divisions, and the first division is examining the motivation prior to the activity of the body or bodily activity or bodily action. Examining the motivation prior to physical activity or bodily action. Under this outline is, or this division is verse 34. It says, when at the beginning, having known that such a mind is with fault, at such a time, like a piece of wood, I should remain being able to rely upon the antidote.
토마 군노데 리지샤와 예 다가서 차차와다 꼬라지와다 야 내가 간리지 바이나 로바이나 나도 간지야게 되나 군노도 가르래도 스티치어지 그래서 스티치야 그거 차차도 꼬라지와다 너 가서 너 군노도 가르래도 스티치어지 그래서 근데 군노도 전체랜도나 신도로와 리지 신도는 군노도 전체랜도나 다 대파 전체도 그나 다들 안녕부 때에 다들 지금 우리가 죄다 하고 봐지 죄다 하고 봐지네 내가 안녕부 신신도 예비 신도 몰라 이주완도 못 봐. 대나시시 땡보시 님보 땡고 해서 와 그래서 님보 땡보지 때네 대간다 유암 내가지 이주완도 못 봐지 근데 님보 땡보지 때네 전체지 했나 그 전체는 대파서 제제 내가 님보 땡이 님보 때네 땡지워 몇 봐지 예 소도 봐지 잡고 해서 그러와 조미 봐지 소도네 땡도와다 도와다 도천은 전화 간디지나 보다 우노데 배추 누가 문도 들라 제봐야 보죠 그래서 그와 딱 꾸노 야고 저거나 찬스나 때 될야 봐 피스도 봐 차고와 딱 꾸노 야고 지면은 차가지 자동 가지 제바이나 다 녀바사 뭐 깔리 가로 탄치야 뭐도 디와게 사고만 와 여사게 형 뭐 때문에 순상 그래서 내가 지내나 신데 누구 있으면 리지 샤와 깔리 슈비 제바이나 꾸노 야고 지면이나 네 현대도와 개요 말을 디바사면 개요 말
현대
shena pemba dua yimpe dua yimpe dua chino pe liji kale de tsene waje kale shubo je uno de yabo meba ina ye tata de ma yes o de tanga so yes chimo chwa la jo ran pe la jo shubo yabo da ma so do tan da sa da do da chang da la je wo da.
So this outline is examining the motivation prior to physical activity. So basically, it means to examine, to check whether to check our body and speech, the actions of our body and speech, whether it is virtuous or not. So the meaning of this verse is, so when at the beginning, having understood, just as was said above, that this mind of such a motivation is with the faults of the 3 times wide, black, and variegated of the 8 worldly concerns, and is faultless, and as such a time, if the motivation is faulty, through mental mindfulness, unmovable by misdeed, like a piece of wood, I should remain being able to rely upon the antidote. So whatever actions, whatever bodily actions, whether it's walking, moving, sitting down, or lying down, or sitting. So whatever bodily actions it is, including doing prostrations, doing circumambulations, and doing our normal work and so forth. So we must check what is the motivations of doing all these activities. So if when we check our motivations, and if we were to find that our motivations is a faulty one, then we must understand, we must know that the motivations is faulty, and then we must understand that our motivation is faulty, and then we should abide like a piece of wood, abide immovable, abide without moving, like a piece of wood. So, and on top of that, then we must apply antidotes in order to correct these motivations or correct this mind. So, and if our motivation is not correct, so it's not correct or not a good motivations, then whatever activities that we do, even those activities that were supposed to bring benefits to others, or even actions like doing prostrations and so forth, then if the motivation is not good, then you because of engaging in doing prostrations, your body is tired. However, you do not accumulate any virtue out of these actions other than making your body tired. So therefore, motivation is very important. And this advice given by Shantideva is really amazing, because the advice given by Shantideva, it also includes advice for how do we stay, how do we move about, how do we eat, and so forth. Next outline is general indications of behavior of looking with eyes. I repeat, general indications of behavior of looking with eyes. So this is Shantideva's advice for how should we see or look around. And under this outline is verse 35. He says, "Never should I look around distractedly for no purpose. With a resolute mind, I should always keep my eyes cast downwards."
Oh, did that. Did that. Meet that. Remember, choosing your talent, Dinaya Daki Majadi, senior Banjo. Give me Bala, never sent me. The data the diet, na hitza, can't mean Paditawa Shawazi. That day, and that day, a dirisha Kandarwa. That also, Chidang was a meetarang of his Shibury, this she did. Me Taudi, so Gutan Rosa Langaina, Kaban Doguina, Taudi, the Kanda, the Tasakalangazo, Junsin of which. Tagazipe, say Yawa, Rendewaya, so good by Junsen want the Chitago, the Cheva the ship, as well. Say ye want to, Chadam Pesa want to meet Tawaina, I didn't do it. They want to say ye want to go. Chadam Pierre want the Tawina, not to say ye want to go there, they do your money. The condition, say ye want to do it, meet the condition, want to do not, that Dilla Mataba. Me the say, not say the Boba National Conjure, me, my not say the Mapo, Sora, Gonje, was the Shinega, Layba, Gonje, because me not say the Mapone, the devil, me a tire, Sora. Or then I say ye, Julan, be not say the Mapo, yes, the tire, yes, ye, Julan. Chidan was me, that woman didn't rip the Jibal touch of my woman. The good but did say about me touch of my still me tire my woman. Also, me the die changes say the Chadamos on the Chinomish, not to change or Niki bed, Dupata, you don't want a moda, 9 loss of what Mambo, Chadan Chesaki, Niki, you let Tanoduna. What that did, Tanoduna, did Dilla, Mataba, me not say the bone, was a gongin, something Tawacha was it, want to say something, say the, want to something to say the Tawacha was it, what, say demo. 띵겐지 가서 여다 따와 되니 제거래 말 미나제를 마포니 따고래 말 됐더니 야당이 따요 말 근 집은 메비 미따와서 레스 간다 와 집은 메비 미따와 드레스 그 미나제를 포커스 야는 같은 나한테 어디 지나고 미나제를 보래야 리도 그다이나 저 리얼 내가 여러 달들마 된다 시고다 다 빼자는 말로디 간다 로아 세기 미바 시비 뒤따다 따이체 나 시장도 따와 pop the same up, meet them up, progress and all where the meet that's the lemon pop out, and that.
Tadi kasa dia kasa mi mata wai na tim jia gi nyen ka yore la.
Dia ngasa ni kita ya malu marese. Dia mata cuma tengok dari yang lagi. Mi tan dius. Mi nanti lah ma progress. Nasi nanti langgar lori tak gue berjumpa jual. Langgar lah susun dosa deh. Tak mungkin tak berdoa. Dosa deh mata baci. Yang le pas tak wai na man sadoi cuma ni ngai berdoa. Ini mata na.
Ini mi di yu di du mi du dang yong yong dang mi yong点说那di 坚持给我咯，当初给恰当，当初给恰完了，给坚持给我。
mi da digi jinje maso su nze ba manze ba da wa yi do wa da mo wa tin tong lo res de mi da tong lo res de tong de de se de wa da ne de be sha ni ba lo ju lo res wo se de wa da ne wa de wa de jinje res de tong ba ina de mi na se la ba wo res ta da de mi na se la ma mi ba wo res sa na shi kang ze ma ko ze lo da wa de ma pa de res ji da ma so Jebu yobi junze kila ngatu mina tsela posi la goma.
Jebu yobi junze.
Oh, jebu ta gwe junze yoba kila ta gwe se wa. Te ta gwe jebu maybe nine want to ne shaw male but the kila te ta ya ma te na tsela po gwe se wa. Ta ngatu jeba zambo jeba te ne de shi gwe.
Jebu yobi junze na.
Jebu yoba junze te so ta gwe wa.
Jebu yoba ina yoba.
Jebu yoba kila. Jebu yoba kila.
That's all. So the meaning of this verse is, as for the behavior of looking with my eyes, never should I look around distractedly for no purpose, because the mind will degenerate. With the mind resolute towards virtuous objects of observation, when looking, I should always keep my mind cast downwards for just the measurement of a yoke. So meaning that when we look, or when we go on the road, and then we look with our eyes, right? We look at the road with our eyes. Then when we look, the way of looking it should be, if it will bring forth a good result, or if you have a reason or purpose for doing so, then you should look. And if there is no purpose, if there is no reason for doing so, but out of distracted mind, so you look distractedly, you look around distractedly, or the way of you and your looking will increase attachment and anger. So all this, if you then we shouldn't look around distractedly. Then we should cast our eyes downwards. So unless you have a reason or a purpose, or unless your looking will bring forth a good result, then you look. Otherwise, then you should cast your eyes downwards. So if your looking is distracted, it will out of a distracted mind, or it will increase attachment and anger and so forth. Then that you should cast your mind downwards. So because through our eyes, looking at objects, looking at forms, whether the form is beautiful, not beautiful, pleasant, not pleasant, attractive, unattractive, and so forth, then our mind will fall under, it will become a conditions for our mind. So it becomes a conditions for our mind to engage in bad activities or negative activities. Therefore, if that actions, if your looking is out of distracted mind, or that looking will increase attachment and so forth, then you should not look around, but should cast your eye downwards. Similarly, in the context of cultivating calm abiding, so we also talk about the posture itself. Your eye should cast downwards in the directions of the tips of your nose. So it's also similar in meaning. So the overall, the meaning of this verse is our mind. So our mind should be based on concentration. Our mind should base on concentration, then look with a purpose or with a reason. So, however, here it doesn't mean to tell you that, or you shouldn't, when you go on the road, and you shouldn't look at the road and so forth. You shouldn't look at the road and pay attention to the road. It's not saying that. It's not telling you not to pay attention to the road, but to ask you to look with a purpose, look with if there is a reason for doing so. If it increases your attachment and so forth, then you shouldn't look.
那等到提定到了，人家去不呢，大姑里大要马的是你送下来，刚才的都懂了，人家都你的，但你这不 maybe 是吧？你这不上不 maybe 一大瓦的搞吧的，也是这不上不没是一大瓦的，是吧？你这不上不 maybe 一大瓦的搞吧的是，你这不在这边是吧？你这不上不在这边了大姑的也是吧？你这不上不在这边了大瓦的搞嘛的也是，是吧？ represent the Jebel Tawas Kayo Mares. Or represent maybe see Tawas Kawa, yes,
So this verse is not telling you not to look, not to pay attention to the road. Otherwise, then you will face you will caught in then there is a danger that you might fall fall down, or you might fall off cliff and so forth. So he's not telling you not to look, but to tell you to look if there is reason, if there is purpose of doing so. So here you can, in summary, so it talks about two things: to look and not to look. So to look when there is a good result, when it will bring forth or yield a good result, then you look. Not to look is when the mind is distracted, and when it will not yield any good result, then you shouldn't look. So basically, is summarized into these two: to look when there is a reason, or when it will bring forth good result; not to look when your mind is distracted, and when it will not yield any good result.
那这怎么的呢？那是中国的家老师都拿了就是米养是养是大把呢，对，
考完了，通过。
中国了，将来进来说这个米养是养是大的，是不是？用我解释呢，但你晓得我都来对了，这马的他没密码，但多些是呢，第一个嘛大把呢，他你个嘛的时候，他看他这么一的，你这有让人找我情况的话，说是的，将来干啥去呢？米养是养是大喇叭你就把呢。 你看，这把修来的我说，修过。但这马达有些分钟下来呢，这第四条都不来呀。
密码大了。Yeah. So then Geshe-la tells a joke. So if you were to go to a shopping mall with your lovers, or with with someone that you like very much, then yeah, so if the eyes looking around, looking again and again at an object, and then your hands touching the objects that you like, and then your mind find it attractive as well, then eventually then you'll buy that product, right? So if you if you tell the person, oh, don't look, and then you just walk past it without looking at the projects, without looking at the objects or the products, then you will not buy it.
다 뒤집어서 나도 두 비세 지다 샤워로 다 갈래 그럼 탐치 갈로 두 비세 지다 샤워 님바 다 다운가 수치도는 ren가 초서 따와 샤세 다 뒤니는 지제 쇼로 신인도 와 다들 디셔로.
So next outline is what to do when tired. So what should I do when I'm tired? So in relation, under this outline is first two lines of verse 36. It says, but in order to relax the gaze for a short while, I should look around.
大地上看起来的，大样你大个生活，咱就是喜欢你大个生活，大看到的看生活是呢，看到说看看起是不就完呢？大俺所以切到，人家看到说个错，搞不对吧就完呢，说个错搞不对吧呢，你来把单呢，是吧？你来把单呢，俺所以切到，但没想到那个有问的呢，可能个这些来说的，不是模拟说的，不是模拟说的，这里把那里。 新年不给这些，你今年把太阳柴是这个新的把，好像在俺说下去的吧？那今年我们在应了把给这年不接，我你接我的时候，那你打我的时候，那这里啊，是这个两百人就了吧？你看把俺说下去的，我在第接的时候。
So this outline, what should I do when it's tired? So here it talks about you need to look. So when you need to look with this purpose, but in order, it says in the verse, first two lines of the verse, in order to relax the gaze, then for a short while I should look around. So here is telling you that you should look around when you have this purpose or this need that you need to relax the gaze. So it means that in order to restore the bodily constituents and to relax the gaze when tired, for a short while, I should lift my eyes and look around. So I should lift my eyes and look around at will, or even if there is someone around, then you say tashtele, good morning, good evening to the person, or even have a good chat with the persons in order to relax your mind when it's tired. Next outline is what shall I do when other person comes in front of me? What shall I do when other person comes in front of me? Under this outline is the last two lines of verse 36 and also first two lines of verse 37. It says, if someone appears in my field of vision, I should look at him and say, it's good that you have come. To check if there is any danger on the path and so forth, I should look again and again in the four directions. So the meaning of these lines is, by my looking like that, if someone appears in my field of visions and comes before me, I should look at him with a smile and say, it's good that you have come. So this verse explains the modes of walking around and moving around. So if someone were to come in front of me, then with smile, because then we should. So then with a smiling face, then you should look at the person and then say that it's good that you have come, or you can say welcome and so forth. Then furthermore, at the time of traveling, to check if there is any danger on the path and so forth, I should look again and again in the four directions. So similarly, when you travel on the road and so forth, then you should look around in the four directions to check if there is any danger. So next outline is, what shall I do after resting? What shall I do after resting? So the last two lines of verse 37 and the first two lines of verse 38, it says, to rest, I should turn my head around and then look behind me. Having examined both ahead and behind, I should proceed to either come or go. So meaning of this verse is, and to rest, I should turn my head around when going and then look at the things and so forth behind me. So when we need to leave, when we need to check out our hotel, then we always check if do we leave anything behind or not, right? So similarly, so then you should look in front of you and also look behind of you as well. So then having examined both ahead and behind to see if there is a precipice and so forth, I should proceed to either come or go. So Yeah, so it's easy to understand, so it doesn't require much explanation.
다 교랑라 교랑 진라 자와 들어와 다 교랑 진라 자와 교랑 들어와 다 리마 교랑 들어 다 대다 내가 탄제도 그거 힘이 집어 차세 신이도 들마 두디셔
Next outline is applying to other activities. Like under this outline is last two lines of verse 38. It says, it says, being aware of the necessity, I should act like this in all situations.
다디 대다 간다 리당아 네 차와는 비네파는 다 간다 이제는 엠바 기 요메 근데 그거 요메 집바치네티 누구리에서 간다와 다디 제가 공을 맞추셔서 단다고 나보래 다 간다 신라 예 뭐가 계셔나보다 뭐 시바이나 다 그거 기준도 뭐 다 집바치 와 랑그 리기 샤와 간디 지나들라 그거 기준도 뭐도 집바치 그래서
So the meaning of So the meaning of this verse is being aware of the necessity to benefit others in all situations of engaging in activities of body and speech. I should enact activities belonging to the class of virtue. So it means that we should be aware of the activities of our bodies and speech, same as the explanations before. So we should check our activities of body and activity of our speech as well. So whether there is a purpose of doing so, is there benefits of doing so, and so forth. So if you check and find that there is a reason and purpose of doing so, then you should engage it. And the next outline is examining the behavior of abiding. Under this outline is verse 39. It says, having prepared for an action with a thought, my body will remain in such a way, then periodically I should look to see how is the body abiding. So wherever I may abide, having prepared, the meaning of this verse is wherever I may abide, having prepared for an action with a thought, my body will remain in such a way, then periodically I should look to see how is the body abiding. So the meaning of this verse also means that whatever actions that you do at a certain place, then whether it will bring harms to oneself and to others or not, and whether that place is endowed with any negative activities or negative behaviors or not, whether that place is affected by negative behavior or not, whether that place is a place where negative behaviors happens or not, or the occurrence of negative behaviors or not. So then the meaning of this, basically it means we should stay at a place where is free of the occurrence of negative behaviors, and then we should stay at a place that will not bring harm to oneself and others.
다바디라 생기 랑주 넘버는 줄을 생기 가치라 기타 다보면 좋아 기타 배고 kun지 다세 배쇼로가 진리들 뭐 디쉬에서
So we have covered examining the behavior of the body and speech. So next outline is examining the behavior of the mind. So under this outline, there are divisions. And then the first division is tying the mind to a virtuous objects of observation. Under this outline, under this division is verse 40. It says, with utmost effort, I should check to see that the crazed elephant of my mind is not wandering off, but is bound to the great pillar of thinking about the Dharma.
다들이 가서 되게 되는데 신진랑 치료와 신진랑치의 랑기 신 차다 모습이 내모비 희망의 쇼네 그 녀바 차기 신녀바 들려오라 된다 신이 들려디 신진랑치 녀바스 로디로와 랑기 신이 차다 모습이 내모비 희망의 쇼네 그와 다신만도와 랑치만도와 녀바다 와지로와 랑치만도와 녀바다 와지 다신이 아래서 보는와 차다 모습이 완전히 신만도와 랑치 녀바다 완전히 이제 다 가르치거든요. 이제 따지 가시나 인디 이게 녀반도인데 랑게 때 케랑게 라바서 따지 라바 띵지 라바 케르지 라바 답에 샹시지 라바 소라지 라바서 소소 케랑게 다 도바시로와 케랑게 라바 어따 뜻을 피비 치로와 뜻을 피비 가서 집에 또 담비 치 여와라 소소 바로와 뜻을 피비 치로 라바서 마냐야 야 공편도야 니 치도 뜻치 여와라 봐 수급에 상호 지지를 돈이 그와 그 세계에 그래서 라버스다 망가와 랑게 세계 예 얘를 요를 봐 세계 저와 침벌을 봐 그와 타바 때문에 봐 담바 나시지 리지니 해서 그와 라바다 망가와 라바 랑게 케랑 라버스다 망가와 됐니 뭐 세계에 같이 땡보시 니 해서 땡보시와 그와 침벌을 봐 지금은 배셔나 그와 침벌질 앞에 예, 우주 제모도 드리질라파 당바이나 다 땡보지 대고로 와서 와 계지 얘 나신 가서 세대 님비 차다모 대모다 만도와 랑기 라바다 망가와 랑기 케랑이 담지요와 케랑이 라바스라 망가와지 세대 땡보지 미미 발라바 땡보지 네 두버지 제고레스 와 대제고레 땡베 빠지와라 다 간다 중국에 된다 되리시다 뭐 보시면
So the meaning of this verse is, I should make effort in behavior without misdeeds, and with utmost effort I should thus check to see that the unsubdued crazed elephant of my mind is not wandering off, but is bound to the great pillar of thinking about the Dharma, which I have committed myself to do one pointedly. So the meaning, so when we here again use the crazed elephant, the unsubdued crazed elephant as an analogy to describe our unsubdued mind. So unsubdued mind also means that the mind that has fall under the control, that is under the control of afflictions, the three poisons, attachment, anger, and ignorance. So the unsubdued crazed elephant of my mind, then so it's not wandering off. So we should check, examine whether our mind is wandering off or not. So then we shouldn't let it wander off, but is bound to the great pillar of thinking about the Dharma. So great pillar of thinking about the Dharma, which I have committed myself to do one pointedly. So it means that those three trainings, vows such as individual liberation vows and commitments that I have committed to keep them, then in order not to transgress those vows, commitment, and so forth, in order not to degenerate them, but to increase them for more and more, then we should check our mind.
세대 너무 공안도 파치 도 지야요 말 된도도 못 제빠치고 따지 제거래 세대 너무 공안도 도바이나 때랑게 켈랑 빌라바도 소리 가도 됐어 와 랑게 켈랑 빌라바 아도 바요와 무슨 가도 됐어 다 랑게 세대 랑게 공안도 와 지주고 했어 되지 했어 어떻게 가도 제고도 다 맞춰 해로
So basically, so then we should tie our mind to the great pillar. We should tie our mind to this a great pillar of thinking about the Dharma. So basically, basically the meaning of this is, so we should control our mind. So our mind, this mind of mine, should be under my control, not under the control of afflictions. So then we should check whether our mind is under our own control or whether it has fallen under the control of afflictions. So otherwise, then we will transgress those vows, commitments, and so forth that we have committed or promised to keep. Next outline is examining whether or not my mind is single-pointedly focused on virtue. Under this outline is verse 41. It says, I who strive by all means for meditative concentration should not wander off even for a moment, thinking, what is this mind of mine doing? I should investigate my mind. So the meaning of this verse is, I who strive by all means for the meditative civilization that is undistracted from virtuous quality should not wander off to anything other than that, even for a moment. So it means that we should, so our mind shouldn't be distracted from the virtuous objects of observations, and so our mind should focus on the virtuous objects of observation and shouldn't wander off anything other than that. So thinking, what is this mind of mine doing? Something proper or improper? I should investigate my mind again and again in this way. So we should check our mind again and again whether our mind is doing something proper, or improper, virtuous or non-virtuous, and so forth. So we should check our mind again and again. So we will stop here, and today we don't have much time left. So if you have any question, please ask in next class. We conclude with dedication. We dedicate these roots of virtue to the flourishing of Buddha Dharma and to the excellent happiness of all sentient beings. We also dedicate these roots of virtue to all upholders of Buddha's teaching, mainly His Holiness the Dalai Lama, to live eons long, to have excellent health, and may all their enlightened activities and holy wishes be accomplished instantaneously and spread in all directions. We also dedicate these roots of virtue to our beloved teacher, Kyabshin Lama Sopa Rinpoche. May Kyabshin Lama Sopa Rinpoche's holy wishes be instantaneously accomplished without any obstacles. We also dedicate these roots of virtue for the world peace. May excellent happiness prevail throughout the world. May wars, conflicts, disaster, natural disaster, disease be pacified immediately. And there is war that happened in India and also between other countries as well. So may all of these be ceased immediately. And we also dedicate these roots of virtue to all sentient beings, especially those who pass away because of these conditions. And may their negativities accumulated since beginningless time be pacified immediately and quickly achieve the state of enlightenment.
老早今年是
给我的电当中完美了，看边当去把这顿路上找吧，一定给你玻璃都是结束，长久深交人不见马街帮人记住记，
结果你什么
空天空头陪我说，特别保佑其他给把他空头上坡的样的心对他更加接受到逻辑，给我的到当接了多，我同意到我人不见，把他记住记，给我两把没把样，空天空头陪我说，到我人不见马街帮人记住记，给我两把没把样，空天空。都陪我说，一切送都具备了，七千三十看见真主人，被莫点睛感动了，动画的首先的流流说，今天看这边的马六吧，看这用上边的。这个点睛感动了，说话的时候就先流流说，点把给生日让从路上叫我颜色就马街，让这新的感觉马六被点点面包主月给来头，有头左边都点人不接，现在准备进京了，那样秘书准备国家钱，现在他妈说话的被点马六中卫国际部，也听到马军中我也听到几头中马这边木头不喜欢是点一帮。就是感受起了当家现场就突厥老婆街路没点没样，这啥别人给咱都街别的女些说，当为公园新看的，平常的话马六中卫呢，今天是往点点感受一下，对世界把都点有劲。